And there's a striking question in today's gospel. When Philip says to Jesus, "Lord, show us the Father and we will be satisfied." Show us the Father. He wants to know God the Father. And Jesus, his frustration comes through. It's good to see this side of the Lord, again in his humanity. "Have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? You still do not know me." Imagine that. You're one of the ones that I chose that should know what's going on, because you're going to end up passing it on, and you don't know what's going on. You do not know me. So after 3 years of walking with Jesus, of eating with him, of watching his teachings, learning from him, spending all the time together, Jesus says to him, "You still do not know me." Imagine how that would have felt for both Philip and for Jesus. It would have been hard. It would have been hard to hear for someone you care about, that you've given your life to follow, but also from Jesus' perspective of frustration. Frustration. You still don't get it. But Philip wasn't the only one that didn't fully know Jesus or didn't say it. Even Peter, when he was tested following Jesus' arrest, what did he say? "I do not know the man. I do not know the man." And it's interesting because Peter would have known who Jesus was in terms of seeing his miracles, listening to his teachings, seeing these wonderful healings, and imagine the walking on water. And he says, I do not know the man. And in a way, he didn't know Jesus completely. Otherwise, he'd recognize that Jesus would be the suffering servant from, I believe it's the prophet Isaiah. St. Jerome, who's partly responsible for putting together our wonderful Bible in terms of the books that were included and not, St. Jerome said, "Ignorance of Scriptures is ignorance of Jesus Christ." Ignorance of Scriptures is ignorance of Jesus Christ. If we don't know the stories of Jesus, if we don't spend time listening to his life, letting it soak in, to build that relationship with him, getting to know him, we don't know Jesus Christ. So you notice this theme of knowing Jesus. And again, another time, Jesus is talking to the people about the end of time. And he says, "Did you not keep my commandments? Even those people that come to me and say, 'Lord, Lord,' at the end of time." He will look at them and say, I never knew you. I never knew you." Even though we know his name, he says, I never knew you. If you didn't follow my commandments. If you truly knew who I was, you would follow my commandments. So this is all about knowing who Jesus is, this theme, if you notice. And similarly, like Philip, we can spend years maybe going to church, being baptized, and going through the motions. And like Philip, we may not know Jesus. We may not. There's always more to know. So when we think about it, let's think about what we know. How do we know another person? How do we develop that relationship with them? Well, there's probably 3 things. You spend time with them, you talk to them, and you listen to their life, to what's going on. So you share your life, and they share theirs, and you spend time with them. And of course, in an example of a marriage or a good friendship, this happens over years. And you go deeper and deeper in sharing your experiences and your knowledge of each other. That communication is ongoing. So that's the same way we can get to know Jesus Christ. We can have those 3 elements, I guess, of we can tell him about our life. That's in prayer. Talking to him regularly in prayer every day. But also listening to his life. And we can do that through listening in prayer, but most especially in listening to his life as we read the Scriptures. Reading about Jesus' life, learning about him. What did he go through? His childhood, and in terms of staying in the temple. His parents are looking for him. They think he's lost. Listening about his miracles, about how he spent time with people. Listening to Jesus as learning about his life. And of course, encountering him in the best version that we have in his body and blood at Mass. So let's take this scripture, this theme of knowing Jesus to heart, and make it a central part of our lives. This is, again, we're blessed today to focus on just this one question of knowing Jesus. And so I encourage all of us to think about, how well do we know Jesus? What can we do to improve that relationship with Jesus? And then hopefully take the steps to do so.